Є січове військо, та й співає стиха, як поборем воріженьків не буде в нас лиха, як поборем воріженьків не буде в нас лиха. Йде січове військо в боротьбу криваву, як поборем воріженьків здобудемо славу, як поборем воріженьків здобудемо славу. Йде січове військо, пісня степом, степом лине, як поборем воріженьків слава не загине, як поборем воріженьків слава не загине. Січове військо, та й співає стиха, як поборем воріженьків не буде в нас лиха, як поборем воріженьків не буде в нас лиха.
And a popular ethno-rock group from Ukraine by the name of Vopli Vidoplasova, and that was their rendition of a traditional Ukrainian folk song going back to the First World War era, and that song was called Marsh Sichovi Streltsi, and that translates as March of the Sich Sharpshooters. Вітаю вас всіх, дорогі радіослухачі, на радіопередачу «Наш Холос» радіо українського коріння, яка подається вам у місті Ванкувері щосуботи о 6 годині вечора на радіостанції AM1320 CHMB у місті Нанаймо кожної середи з 11 до 13 години на хвилі CHLY 101,7 FM і по всьому світі по мережі PCJ Радіо Міжнародному. З вами Павліна Макорі, дякую, що рішили перебути зі мною наступну годину. Hello there and welcome to Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio, coming to you Saturdays at 6 p.m. on AM 1320 CHMB Vancouver, Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on CHLY 101.7 FM in Nanaimo, and around the world on AM, FM, shortwave, and satellite radio via PCJ Radio International. I'm your host, Paulette Demchik-McCory, Pukrinska Pavlina, and I'm delighted to have you with me. We've got a great program lined up for you in Ukrainian Jewish Heritage, Part 2 of our conversation with American author Ruth Gruber. As well, a Knižka Corner book review, and this is a look at a Habsburg royal who fought for Ukrainian independence. As well, our usual proverb of the week, other items of interest, and great Ukrainian music. And coming up next is a very popular Ukrainian folk singer by the name of Oksana Mucha. Here she is with Porizalam Palchik, I Cut My Finger.
Порізала пальчик та й болить, зелений листочок не гоїть, зелений листочок не гоїть, не гоїть, поцілує милий загоїть, зелений листочок не гоїть, не гоїть, поцілує милий загоїть. Ось що то за хлопець, як зветься, він до мене гарно сміється, я б його любила душею, душею, якби він назвав мене своєю, я б його любила душею, душею, якби він назвав мене своєю. Ось що то за хлопець, як ружа, я би його взяла за мужа, я б йому робити не дала, не дала, тільки б для красоньки тримала. Я б йому робити не дала, не дала, тільки б для красоньки тримала. Порізала пальчик та й болить, зелений листочок не гоїть, зелений листочок не гоїть, не гоїть, поцілує милий загоїть, зелений листочок не гоїть, не гоїть, поцілує милий загоїть. В хату говорити з татом, обіцяв женитися, обіцяв любитися. Про весілля говорили, гостей запросили, та не знав тоді ніхто, що не піду за нього. А я втечу додому, до рідної хати, а я втечу від тебе до мами, до тата. А я втечу додому, до рідної хати, а я втечу від тебе до мами, до тата. Світить місяць ясно-ясно, заглядає в хату, та заснути я не зможу, навіть задрімати. Кажуть люди, він такий багатий і красивий, а я вийду за того, хто буде серцю милий. А я втечу додому, до рідної хати, а я втечу від тебе до мами, до тата. А я втечу додому, до рідної хати, а я втечу від тебе до мами, до тата. А я втечу від тебе до мами, до тата. А я втечу додому, до рідної хати, а я втечу від тебе до мами, до тата. Ти прийшов до мене в хату говорити з татом, обіцяв женитися, обіцяв любитися. Кажуть люди, він такий багатий і красивий, а я вийду за того, хто буде серцю милий.
and a traditional Ukrainian folk song about young love and courtship and all that kind of stuff. That was Mariana Ilkiv with Svetanya. And up next, Chetam Shena from Montreal, one of my favorite girl groups, with a wonderful folk song, a favorite of mine, but I always felt it was a bit risky playing it since it's about an illegal substance. But, of course, come October 17th, it won't be illegal in Canada anymore, so I guess I don't need to worry about being carted off to jail anymore whenever I play the song. Chetam Shena from Montreal with Posiala Baba Konopel, Granny Planted Hemp.
Posiala baba konopel, oj te konopel, konopel, baby, konopel, baby, konopel, baby, konopel, oj te konopel, konopel, baby, konopel, baby, konopel, baby, konopel, oj te konopel. Jak tudy povadis, jak tudy povadis, jak tudy povadis, žuravel, oj ta žuravel. Ja sztybę wpimaju żurawia, oj te żurawia, 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 oj te żurawia, 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 oj te żurawia. Ja sztybę w klitoczku, ja sztybę w klitoczku, ja sztybę w klitoczku posadziu, oj te posadziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, oj te posadziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, oj te posadziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, dziudziu, posadziu, oj te posadziu.
And now for a look at Ukraine's rich Jewish heritage, then and now, brought to you by the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter based in Toronto, Ontario. This is Pavlina, producer and host of Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio. Ruth Ellen Gruber is an American journalist, author, editor, and researcher. Her book, Jewish Heritage Travel, A Guide to Eastern Europe, was first published over 25 years ago and is still considered the most complete Jewish travel guide to the region. We first learned about Ruth and a bit about her work last year in an episode of Ukrainian Jewish Heritage dealing with dark tourism, which involves travel to places historically associated with death and tragedy. Ruth's work, however, sheds light on Jewish heritage sites with the goal of keeping alive the memory of Jewish life in Europe through the restoration of physical reminders. Last week, we spoke with Ruth Ellen Gruber about her early career as a foreign correspondent in Europe, her run-in with the communist government in Poland during the time of Solidarity, and her travel guide. In part 2 of our 2-part interview, we discuss her other books, a website she collates with information about Jewish heritage sites in Europe, as well as her work in Ukraine. So, Ruth, you're American-born, but you have roots in Eastern Europe. Where do your ancestors hail from?
My father's parents came from the village, and then they moved to the town, which today is in Romania. It's in the Bukovina area. When they left, it was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But today it's in Romania. And my mother's grandparents came from a village that today, I mean, yes, I guess it was in Polish lands, but Poland didn't exist on the map when they left. They left in the 1880s.
Okay.
And the town, Kalvaria, is now the border town in Lithuania with Poland.
Okay.
But, Poland did not exist as a state
right.
at the time they left.
Right.
And so both of my mother's parents were born in the United States. And my father was born in the United States, but his parents were born in
Okay.
this area that's now northern Romania.
So you're American for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So last year you had a lecture in Lviv. That was kind of how we found out about you and connected with you and did that piece on dark tourism last year. Tell me about your work in Ukraine.
My first trip to Ukraine came in 2006 when I was researching the latest edition of Jewish Heritage Travel. And I traveled extensively through, I guess, Western Ukraine as far as Kiev and down, Chernivtsi, but mostly in Western Ukraine because that's where most of the Jewish heritage sites are, historic ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2008, I was invited to give the keynote talk at a conference organized by what was then the new Center for Urban History in Lviv. And my talk grew out of a book that I had published in 2002 called Virtually Jewish, Reinventing Jewish Culture in Europe, about the involvement of non-Jewish people with Jewish culture, Jewish heritage, Jewish traditions, et cetera, et cetera.
Uh-huh.
And so at this conference, or I guess after this conference, several of us sat around and discussed, what were the possibilities of rediscovering or, let's say, re-evoking or bringing to the fore, sort of recapturing the Jewish history of Lviv. Because Lviv, before the war was roughly one-third Jewish, one-third Polish, one-third Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jews were killed, the Poles sent away, and most of the population by now were newcomers who came in from the east. And this history sort of, it was hidden history in a way, especially to people who didn't have their roots there.
Mm-hmm.
And we had long discussion about how to commemorate the Jewish history, what to do. And this led to the design competition for commemorative memorials at 3 Jewish historical sites in Lviv. The downtown area, the site of the synagogues, space of synagogues, the Yanovsky camp, and the one part of the old Jewish cemetery that has not been built over. Most of the cemetery is built over by the Krakowski market.
Yes.
But there's a place by the former Jewish hospital which hasn't been built over. And so I was on the international jury for this competition. So I was back in Lviv at the end of 2010 to choose the winning designs for this, along with, I can't remember how many other people were on the jury, but I think there were 3 of us who were sort of representing Jewish interest, to make sure things accorded with tradition or halakhic or Jewish law or whatever.
Sure.
And then since then, I've been in close contact with the Center for Jewish History and with other people in Lviv. And then I've been back a couple other times to travel or to give a lecture like I did last summer. I was back for the dedication of the spaces of synagogues, which was so far the only one of the 3 sites where the monument has been at least almost completed.
Mm-hmm.
And I took part in a conference there. And last year I was very happy to be able to travel around for a few days after my lecture to revisit sites, to update, to see what's been going on.
And the information of, I guess, the work that you do at these sites and the restoration and all that is on your website that you coordinate, right? It's Jewish Heritage Europe.
Yes. I run the website Jewish Heritage Europe, which is a project of the Rothschild Foundation, Hanadiv Europe. And let's see, I've been doing this since 2012. The work I've done in Ukraine is either on that website, but the work I did prior to this website going online can be found elsewhere. In my book, in the latest edition of Jewish Heritage Europe, where I have a whole chapter on Jewish heritage in Ukraine, and also on a Jewish heritage blog I keep, and then I wrote articles based on my trips and things like that. But I think the latest information is on the space of synagogues, and I think there's the video of my lecture last year in Lviv is up online, and I think I put it on the Jewish Heritage Europe website.
Yes, it's there, and it's on your blog as well. So can you give us the addresses online?
The Jewish Heritage Europe website is jewish-heritage-europe.eu. And this website is, I would say, the most comprehensive portal to up-to-date news and information and insight about Jewish heritage and Jewish heritage issues in 48 countries. There's a news feed every other day or sometimes more. I post articles about what's happening with projects or cleanups or photo essays about Jewish heritage sites. But there's also resource information and static information on individual sections for all the 48 countries, as well as photo galleries and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a personal website, which is ruthelengruber.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then people always ask me, would there be another edition of the Jewish Heritage Travel book?
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, the latest edition came out already 11 years ago, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically said no, because things change too fast
Sure.
to keep up. And so I started a blog, jewish-heritage-travel.blogspot.com, to try to update what was in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept it going quite actively for quite some time. Now that blog is somewhat dormant because I put most of my energy into putting what I would put on that blog, I put on the Jewish Heritage Europe website.
Sure. Okay.
And there's Facebook pages and Twitter and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's great. Congratulations on this project. What turned out just from your curiosity and starting to chronicle, make a diary of places that you visited, some 30 years ago. It's so illuminating to find out how much was lost. I shudder to think, Ruth, what would the world be like now if the Holocaust hadn't happened?
If is a big question.
Sure.
And unfortunately, the Holocaust did happen.
Yeah.
And in Eastern Europe, it was followed by repressive regimes, which also tried to suppress Jewish culture, Jewish practice, and all of that. In much of the time in communist countries, Jewish culture, Jewish heritage, it was basically a taboo subject.
Yeah.
And with the democratic changes that took place in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, that really sort of opened up the door to what we all had hoped and hope still would be an honest discussion of these issues and what happened and what can be done. It allowed people to practice the religion freely again.
Mm-hmm.
It allowed people like the person whom you mentioned to discover their past, their roots, and to act on it. I remember in the 1990s in Poland, this is a very common situation in Poland for people to discover that they're Jewish when they're adults, or just that they have Jewish roots or something. And for many people in the 1990s, it was a real trauma because it had been such a sort of taboo thing, and the memory and also the reality of anti-Semitism is still, still basically everywhere to one degree or another. Mm-hmm. It was a trauma for a lot of people, and in the 90s in Poland, there was even a sort of SOS hotline was set up for people that they can call if they found out that they had Jewish background, what they should do, how to act. There was no internet then.
Right.
Now it's a lot easier. You can go online and sort of personally, in the privacy of your home, basically try to work out certain things, and also find groups of people on social media and connect. You can connect in ways that were very, very difficult, if not impossible, even 20, 25 years ago. And there's a lot of positive things that have happened, but, there's a lot of negativity out there still, too.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for your time, for sharing all this information, for the work that you do and continue to do. Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks for talking.
Ruth Ellen Gruber, American journalist, writer, editor, and researcher, now living and working in Europe. She's the author of Jewish Heritage Travel, A Guide to Eastern Europe, Upon the Doorposts of Thy House, Jewish Life in East Central Europe, Yesterday and Today, and other books. As well, she runs the Jewish information portal website, Jewish Heritage Europe. You could follow her and her work there, as well as at her personal blog, ruthelengruber.com. I'm Pavlina, producer and host of Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio. Thank you for listening. Until next time, shalom. Ukrainian Jewish Heritage is brought to you by the Ukrainian Jewish Encounter based in Toronto, Ontario. To find out more about their work, visit their website and follow them on Facebook and Twitter. Transcripts and audio files of this and earlier broadcasts of Ukrainian Jewish Heritage are available at their website, ukrainianjewishencounter.org, as well as at the Nash Holos website, www.nashholos.com.
Щось я маю їй сказати, чи не пила вчора мати Тарас? Чи не пила вчора мати Тарас? Ой, хоч била, хоч не била, що з казаком говорила Тарас? Що з казаком говорила Тарас? Їхав козак містом, під копитом камінь тріснув Тарас. Під копитом камінь тріснув Тарас.
And that was Stacy Yerofimova with a group called Dovira. They are from Toronto, doing some very interesting, innovative music. And that was their rendition of a traditional Ukrainian folk song, Yichał, Yichał, Kozak Mistom. A Cossack rode into town.
This is CHMB, AM 1320, Vancouver.
Thanks to the foresight and generosity of its donors, the Taras Shevchenko Foundation has been investing in the future of the Ukrainian-Canadian community for over 50 years. Since 1963, the Taras Shevchenko Foundation has been funding initiatives that strengthen our Ukrainian-Canadian identity and enhance our Ukrainian-Canadian cultural heritage. These include fine and performing arts and arts groups, museums, cultural centers, education, as well as authors, journalists, and the Ukrainian-Canadian media, including this program. The foundation strives to become the premier not-for-profit foundation in Canada, which acknowledges the Ukrainian-Canadian community as a fundamental component of Canadian society. Nash Holos listeners are encouraged to support this vision through continued donations into the future. To apply for grants, make a donation, or for more information, visit shevchenkofoundation.com.
Головна мета Ukraine War Amps – це допомога пораненим воїнам та патріотам, які захищають свободу своєї країни у сьогоднішній війні за Україну. Ukraine War Amps представляє програму «Всинови солдата». З вашою підтримкою наша організація зможе передавати принаймні $50 США щомісяця для цільової підтримки якомога більшого числа українських героїв. 100% зібраних коштів буде передано напряму героям, пораненим у війні за Україну. Програма «Всинови солдата» будує унікальний зв'язок між вами і солдатом, якого ви підтримуєте. Все починається з вас. Візьміть під опіку солдата, підтримайте героя України.
Up next is a step back in time with a group that's been, I think they're still around in Ukraine. I don't know if they're still performing or not, but they have recorded prolifically and they were very, very popular for a few decades. They are Trio Merenich, and here they are now with Chom Te ne Prisho, Why Didn't You Come?
Чом ти не прийшов, як місяць зійшов, я тебе чекала, чи коня нема, чи стежки не знав, мати не пускала, чи коня нема, чи стежки не знав, мати не пускала. І коня я мав, і стежку я знав, і мати пускала. Найменша сестра бодай не зросла, сідельце сховала. Найменша сестра бодай не зросла, сідельце сховала. А старша сестра сідельце знайшла, коня осідлала. Ой, братіку, до дівчиноньки, що тебе чекала. Ой, братіку, до дівчиноньки, що тебе чекала. Тече річенька, невеличенька, схочу, перескочу. Віддайте мене, моя матінко, за кого я хочу. Віддайте мене, моя матінко, за кого я хочу. Дум-дум-дум-дум-дум, дум-дум-дум-дум-дум, дум-дум-дум-дум-дум. хочу. Віддайте мене, моя матінко, за кого я хочу. Чом ти не прийшов, чом ти не прийшов, чом ти не прийшов.
Welcome to Knyzhka Corner, book reviews by Myra Junik, Ukrainian stories in English.
In this edition of Knyzhka Corner, we will be discussing Timothy Snyder's The Red Prince, The Secret Lives of a Habsburg Archduke. Who can resist a romantic Habsburg hero who openly embraces the cause of Ukrainian nationalism in the early 20th century? Wilhelm von Habsburg was such a man. Although he died in obscurity in a Russian prison in 1948, Wilhelm made the creation of a Ukrainian nation the cause of his life. As the son of Archduke Stefan and Archduchess Maria Theresia, Wilhelm led a very privileged life along with his 5 brothers and sisters. At the time, their family still ruled the Habsburg monarchy, Europe's proudest and oldest realm, stretching from the mountains of Ukraine in the north to the warm water of the Adriatic Sea in the south. Wilhelm's parents had castles on a peninsula called Istria on the Adriatic Sea and in Poland. His father believed that Poland would eventually become a separate entity and would need a Habsburg king. He hoped to be that king. During his time at military school in Moravia, Wilhelm became interested in the idea of a Ukrainian state. Perhaps he could eventually rule Ukraine for the Habsburg monarchy. In 1914, Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand, the Habsburg heir, was assassinated in Sarajevo. World War I followed. Service during wartime was the destiny of Habsburg archdukes. In June 1915, Wilhelm received command of a platoon in a mostly Ukrainian regiment. He soon became one of them by speaking Ukrainian, wearing an embroidered shirt under his uniform, and calling himself Vasil. His soldiers nicknamed him the Red Prince because of his support of the Ukrainian peasantry. Eventually, Wilhelm became the diplomatic representative of the Habsburgs in Ukraine. He met several prominent Ukrainians, including Metropolitan Andriy Sheptytsky and Hetman Skoropadsky. At the end of the war, the empire had fallen apart, and the Habsburgs had to give up power. Wilhelm's dream of a Ukrainian nation did not survive. After World War I, Wilhelm was at loose ends. His resources were slim after the fall of the Habsburgs, so he was constantly searching for new sources of income. He promoted various unsuccessful schemes, such as making Ukraine a promised land for European Jews. He left Vienna for Spain to visit his Habsburg relative, King Alfonso. He later moved to Paris, where he continued to promote the Ukrainian cause and live a playboy lifestyle, characterized by excessive drinking, homosexuality, and reckless spending. Forced to flee Paris for Vienna after a conviction for fraud in 1935, Wilhelm watched the rise of Hitler and the Nazi Party. How would Wilhelm adapt to this new reality? Timothy Snyder weaves in wonderful anecdotes about the Habsburg dynasty into his comprehensive examination of the life of the Red Prince. He does not shy away from the controversial aspects of Wilhelm's life: his homosexuality, his drinking, his scheming, and his short-lived anti-Semitism during the early days of Hitler. Readers will be surprised by Wilhelm's role as a promoter of the Ukrainian nation at a time when such a concept was considered remote at best. It is truly fitting that Snyder concludes his book with an examination of the independent Ukraine, which Wilhelm helped to build. It should also be noted that this book was written in 2008. Snyder's praise of Ukraine is ironic. Simply by existing for almost 2 decades within unchanged boundaries, Ukraine has already proven more durable than most of its predecessors. Who could have imagined that Ukraine's territory of Crimea would be invaded in 2014 by Russia? Timothy Snyder received his doctorate from the University of Oxford in 1997. Before joining the Department of History at Yale in 2001, he studied in Paris, Vienna, and Warsaw. Snyder has written articles for the New York Review of Books, The Nation, the New York Times, and the International Herald Tribune. His award-winning books include Bloodlands, Europe Between Hitler and Stalin, Ukrainian History, Russian Politics, European Futures, and Black Earth, the Holocaust as History and Warning. In 2015, Snyder received the Andrew Carnegie Fellowship as well as the Havel Foundation Prize. He is a member of the Committee on Conscience of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, as well as the Advisory Council of the YIVO Institute for Jewish Research. The Red Prince is available at Chapters Indigo and Amazon.
Thanks, Myra. Join us again soon for another edition of Kanishka Corner, book reviews by Myra Junik, here on Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio. Nash Holos now has a Patreon site, and I hope as a listener you'll consider supporting the show with a donation there. Nash Holos is not funded by government and has no corporate financing, so as little as $1 a month will make a huge difference. Your money will be put to good use to help cover the myriad costs of keeping a show like this online and on the air. So please check out our Patreon page. There are links everywhere on the Nash Holos website, www.nashholos.com, or just go to patreon.com and search for Nash Holos. Щиро дякую.
Якось я родився в полі при луні, були дуже раді родичі мої. От я родився в полі при луні, дуже були раді родичі мої. Гей, оце я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, оце я Ярема, мудра голова. Оце я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, оце я Ярема, мудра голова. Став я підростати, до школи ходить, став мене учитель грамоті учить. У тебе Ярема, мудра голова, але в твоїм лобі олії нема. Як? Оце я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, оце я Ярема, мудра голова. Оце я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, оце я Ярема, мудра голова. Став я підростати, парубком я став, сказав мені батько, щоб я жінку взяв. Взяв собі я жінку, як мед з калачем, 3 дні по весіллі втекла з паничем. Отже я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, отже я Ярема, мудра голова. Отже я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, отже я Ярема, мудра голова. Взяв собі я жінку, як мед з калачем, 3 дні по весіллі втекла з паничем. Став я доганяти, по столи згубив, а прийшов додому, ще й батько набив. Отже я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, отже я Ярема, мудра голова. Отже я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, отже я Ярема, мудра голова. Отже я Ярема, уха-уха-уха-ха, Ярема, мудра голова. Отже я Ярема, ука-ука-ука-ка. Отже я Ярема, мудра голова.
Anatoly Rudenko and the Folklore Ensemble Kyiv with a song about that smart guy, Yarema. Up next, from Toronto, Zirka, and from a live recording, here they are. You're going to need your dancing boots for this one, Hanzu.
Ой, Ганджу мила, чому ж ти мене самого лишила? Вернись до мене, забудь за другий. Ой, Ганджу люба, ой, Ганджу мила. Роз'їхав гару, скотив червики, не раз від батька набрав мотики. Що спати пізно, ставав я рано, що ти відбуло то, що задармо. Запам'ятайся, йди найскоршином, не вертайся, жити без тебе зовсім не можу. Ой, Анджу люба, я тебе прошу.
Here's what's coming up this week in Vancouver's Ukrainian community. Next Friday, enjoy a pierogi supper at the Ukrainian Community Society of Ivan Franko in Richmond. The hall is located at 5311 Francis Road between Railway and Number 2 Road in Richmond. Doors are open from 5 to 7:30 p.m. For more information, call the Society at 604-274-4119 or visit them at ivanfranco.ca. The Ukrainian Women's Association of Canada Vancouver branch and the Ukrainian Studies Foundation of BC cordially invite you to the Vancouver premiere of the multi-award-winning feature documentary Recovery Room. This is a story of hope, resilience, and compassion in a time of war. It's the story of the Canadian medical missions to Ukraine, organized by the Canada-Ukraine Foundation. The screening will take place on Sunday, October 21st at 1:30 p.m. at Holy Trinity Cathedral Auditorium, 154 East 10th Avenue in Vancouver. Admission is by donation, and there will be a light reception to follow. That's the screening of the documentary Recovery Room, Sunday, October 21st at 1:30 p.m. at Holy Trinity Cathedral Auditorium, 154 East 10th Avenue in Vancouver. On Wednesdays, catch Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio, broadcasting live from Nanaimo to North and Central Vancouver Island, the Gulf Islands, the Sunshine Coast, Northwest Washington State, and in the Greater Vancouver listening area. Join me, Paulina, for the first hour in English and Oksana Poparajnik for the second hour in Ukrainian. That's Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Time on CHLY 101.7 FM on the radio dial and streaming online at chly.ca. And at 6 p.m. Saturday evenings, flip your dial right back here to AM 1320 CHMB Vancouver or catch the live stream at am1320.com. And join me, Pavlina, for another hour of fun on Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio. Please send dedications, requests, and suggestions to producer@nashholos.com. Your comments are always welcome. In between broadcasts, follow Nash Holos on Facebook, Twitter, and our blog. And for audio archives, transcripts, podcast feeds, and more, visit our website at www.nashholos.com. And from Steinbach, Manitoba, that was the By Request Band from their CD, Ukrainian Boys Gone Wild. That was the Honeysuckle Waltz. And up next, we're going to pick up the pace a little bit with another group from that area. This group is from Winnipeg. They're called Molodsi, which means young people. Here they are with a song that tells the sad story about a young guy who has to drink and dance alone. Sam p'ю, сам гуляю.
Пропив я всю барвінок сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам. Ой, пішов я у вівторок сам, ай пропив я чарів 40 сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам. Ой, пішов я у середу сам, ай пропив я всю череду сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам. Ой, пішов я у четвер сам, а ще п'яний дотепер сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам застелю, сам. п'яницю сам, ай пропив я всю пшеницю сам, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам. Ой, пішов я гусувати сам, ай пропив я сюрувати сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам. Сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам. Ой, пішов я у неділю сам, ай пропив я сю надію сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю, сам лягаю, сам п'ю, сам гуляю, сам со стелю сам.
You've been listening to Nash Holos Ukrainian Roots Radio, broadcasting in Vancouver on AM 1320 CHMB, in Nanaimo on CHLY 101.7 FM, and around the world on PCJ Radio International. Please visit us in between broadcasts at our website, www.nashholos.com, for transcripts and audio files of interviews and features such as Ukrainian Jewish Heritage and Knyzhka Corner book reviews, information about the show, and links to our podcast feed, as well as our new gift boutique and our Patreon site where you'll find the weekly playlist and proverbs. Again, that's www.nashholos.com. I love to hear from you, so please send your suggestions, dedications, and requests. Your comments are always welcome. На жаль, ми вже скінчили нашу програму, вже час додому і сказати до побачення. Але перед тим я хочу залишити вас такими словами мудрості. Не все ті, що людей навчають, самі дійсну правду знають. And our proverb of the week translates as, not everyone who teaches knows the truth. And with that, we've come to the end of our program. So one last toe tapper to wrap it up. We've got Millennia from Edmonton and Ostafy's Odyssey. I'm Pavlina. On behalf of all of us here at Nash Holos and AM 1320, thanks for listening and Dobranich!